Hi, welcome to Lucy's Big Beautiful World of Painting. Today I have with me Janet Jackson, who's going to be teaching us a wonderful original Wilson Bickford painting. We're using Wilson Bickford oil paints today. We love his signature products, and we're both certified by him. We're also certified one-stroke instructors, and Janet is also certified Grumbacher. And you can take a peek at Janet's page, Paint with Jan on Facebook, and also myself on Facebook, and the information will be ready later for you at the end of the show. So I'm going to just have Janet get started so we can start painting.
Thanks, Lucy. Thanks for letting me come to your show this month again. What I want to do is, as you said, a Wilson Bickford Dark Woods Waterfall. And I really like this because it looks difficult to paint, but it really isn't. In fact, Wilson said if you're a brand new painter, this is one of the ones you should start out with. The first thing we're going to notice is that I have black gesso on the canvas. And the reason I did that is to make, because it's so dark, is to make the background dark. Black gesso is nothing more than acrylic. And that's what Lucy and I have both put on here. It's nice and dry. So now what we're going to do is rub some of the Wilson Bickford blending medium into the canvas. Now we do this so that the oils that we put on top of it move more easily. I have a tendency to put too much on all the time. So what you want to do is, if you put too much oil on, is take a paper towel and just wipe it down. Now with this size canvas, this is a 16 by 20, I probably should be using a bigger brush. But right now I don't have one at my disposal, so this is what we're going to do.
I love this this glazing medium, because what we do also, what I love to do when I do my animal portraits, after a month or so before I give it to my clients, I do a very thin coating of the glazing medium over, and it really brings out the colors and protects the painting very, very nicely. So there's a lot of good uses for this glazing medium. And I'm just spreading mine out here. I see I have shinier up top, so.
And what I'm going to do is take a paper towel and just wipe it down to make sure that I don't have too much, because as I say, I do have a tendency to put too much on here, thinking the more I have on here, the better. But Wilson says that's one of the biggest things he finds with his painters is when they have a problem with their paintings, it's probably because they put too much of the undercoating on.
Yeah, too much.
So
and I see I have a lot up top and not enough on the bottom. I'm going to try to just move mine around.
Okay. How are we doing over there?
Good.
Good. Okay.
Getting my my arm exercise in today.
Right.
I'm going back and forth and up and down, still trying to move some around there. Rather than have to pour some out, I'm just kind of moving it around.
Okay, tell me when you're done and we'll move on.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
The next thing we're going to do is use our cobalt blue, which is the first color on your palette, and some white. And we're going to mix those together.
And we're using a flat brush now.
We're using a number 10 flat brush.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is put in the sky. Now you can see that the sky is peeking through those trees. So what you're going to do is just scrub it in, and it's going to be very irregular. You just want it peeking through the trees. What we're going to do is encroach the forest over it, so it doesn't have to be perfect. You want it very regular.
Okay.
And then what you want to do is take your brush and just sort of smooth it out a little bit. Okay.
All right. I like to, you may notice on my palette, what I like to do is I give myself 2 puddles of titanium white every time I paint a water scene that I know that I'm going to need some fresh white for. Because once we start using the paint with other colors, it gets contaminated with the other color. So I, from the start, put out a nice, you know, a fresh pile, I should say, and I use that. You know, this way I don't have to clean up again.
That's a good idea.
Thanks.
Yep. All right, when you're done, let me know.
Okay. All right. Yep.
Because what we're going to do now is create the forest. We're going to create all those trees. And that looks like it's a very difficult thing to do, but it really is easy. It's all in the brush stroke. When you do any kind of painting, you really need 3 colors. You need the darkest color, the mid-tone, and then the highlight at a minimum. So this is our darkest color, the black. Now we're going to put the mid-tone over it. So we're going to mix some of the sap green.
And I see you're using a texture brush.
Yes.
And you have the small one, I have the large one.
Well, I really like the small one. I'm not sure why, but I do.
You get comfortable and
yes.
with something. Yeah, that's
so,
good.
So mix the cobalt blue with a little sap green, and then to gray it down, what you're going to do is take some of that burnt sienna and gray that down.
Alrighty.
Blue and orange are right across each other on the color wheel, and burnt sienna really is an orange. So when you put blue and this burnt sienna together, it really grays it down.
Okay.
All right, so what you're going to do now is go up to the canvas, and with the bristles spread open, okay, is what you're going to do is encroach upon that blue area that we put in as if it was branches and foliage hanging over into the sky.
Okay.
Okay, make sure you keep moving your hand in different directions so it doesn't look like a bunch of little soldiers. If you need more paint, go back into the paint mixture that you created, tap your bristles open and continue to do that. And it would go all the way around. But make sure that you're being free with your movements so it doesn't look too symmetrical.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
All right. And what you're going to do is after you do that, you're going to come down the sides and you're going to let it fade into dark.
All right. So I'm just going to
Yep,
tap,
just,
tap, tap.
Just
Am I going all the way to the edges of the canvas?
Yes,
Each side
absolutely,
too?
yeah.
Okay.
Because this is going to be the forest.
This
as
way
you
I know
can
how much
see.
more paint to make. So cobalt blue, sap green,
and a little burnt sienna.
Burnt sienna.
To gray it down.
Okay.
It's a little difficult seeing with the glare, but that's okay. I'm sure I'm doing okay.
And
here.
after, looks good from here. And after we put the highlights in, then we'll be able to see. Oops, almost went into purple that time.
All right, so make sure that you just come down a little bit, about to this level, a little bit above midpoint with that green, and just let it fade to black.
Okay, so about a third.
Yeah.
Third of the canvas down.
Right.
Okay. Yep. And I have some spots open with the black.
That's fine. You want to leave that.
That's good. We want some black.
Because, as I said, you need the three colors, the black, the mid-tone, and now we're going to do the light tone. So what you're going to do is take your emerald green, tap some of that out, tap some white into it.
Okay.
All right, but that's a crazy green color.
It is.
So what you're going to do is take a little more of the sap green and add that to that mixture. And I would actually take a little tiny bit of the burnt umber and put it in there too.
Okay.
I just want to gray it down a little bit.
So we have some sap green, we have white, we have burnt umber, and we have emerald green.
Correct.
Okay.
Break the bristles open like we did before.
Very good.
And what you want to do is go in here now and almost in a dome shape is put some highlights in, okay? And this will be the highlights in the trees that are in the background of the woods.
I see it really, now you can really see, I think. I think everybody watching will really be able to see now once we have that lighter color in there.
Because we've got all these different colors in the woods, you can see that it's got depth to it. All right, make sure you don't come down too far because we want to leave that open and darker because it will accentuate the waterfall.
Okay.
Okay, so do that as much as you want to.
Okay.
All right, now what we're going to do also is add a little more white to that.
Okay.
And do a little tiny bit of lighter in here where the sun would be coming.
Right.
So over here you want to do a little bit more of that.
Okay, so then we could just take some white and add it to the edge of our green, right?
Yeah, with what you've got on the brush right now.
So rather than make another mix, I took some white and I added it to the edge.
Exactly right.
And I'm just tapping that in. And then I'll come back, and Janet said right in here and get a little bit of lights in there.
Okay, just a little bit. just a tiny, tiny bit, and not all over, okay?
I never do anything a tiny bit. That's one of
Okay.
my problems.
All right, just a little tiny bit.
All right.
Okay?
There we go. My tiny bit is not so tiny, but
Okay.
it's okay.
All right.
All righty.
Okay, the next thing we want to do is create some tree trunks, okay? And the way we're going to do that is by using the knife, the palette knife,
Okay.
and you're going to mix together burnt sienna, some white, and a little bit of blue to gray it down,
Okay.
all right?
So,
And you're going to do that on your knife. So
Burnt
we're going to use
sienna.
burnt sienna,
some white
some white, and a little bit of blue
and
to
a
gray
little
it
bit
down.
of blue. There we go. Okay, so this is knife mixing on the palette here.
Correct. Yeah.
When we mix with the brush, it's brush mixing. Mixing. When we mix with the knife, we call it knife mixing.
Then, Lucy, do you want to show them, because I can't pick my canvas, my palette up. You want to show them how you load
Sure.
the brush,
Of
the
course.
palette?
Yep. Are we
palette knife?
doing? Am I looking for a dark or a mid-tone?
It's
would you say?
it's sort of a mid-tone.
Okay, so
yeah.
I'm going to add a little more blue in here, darken that up a bit, a little more sienna. So this is a good example of how we'll, mixing our colors here. So it's kind of like a grayish brown.
Correct. Yep.
All right, so I have kind of like a gray brown. I won't worry about the color so much. It could always be adjusted. So when we're using our palette knife, we're spreading the paint out very, very thin. Now, if you're doing mountains or rocks like this, we can just pick some up, and you can leave the whole back of the knife filled with paint, okay? When we're doing straight lines like water lines, we would have to wipe it off and cut across like this. In this case, because we're going to be doing the rocks, and well, right now we are going to wipe it off because I just saw Janet. She is putting in the tree trunks.
Right.
So we are going to spread it out, wipe it off, pick up a little bead there, and just
put
press
the
right up.
Yeah, just put the tree trunks in,
There
and
we
what
go.
we're going to do is push them back into the forest with the greens that we had used before.
And you can just
'Cause-
put as many as you want, right?
Absolutely, because right now they look like they're sitting on top of the leaves, and what you want to do is tap them so that they
Okay.
go into the forest so it looks more
So
natural.
back to our dirty brush
Yep.
that we had our greenish paints on.
Yeah,
And make it a little darker.
right.
And
Okay.
come back in and tap a little. This
Right.
way it looks like it's set back,
Correct.
the trunks. That's
Yep.
good.
Okay.
I have mine is a little light, but I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah, mine is too. It's hard
Rather
to
than
see.
clean out that brush.
Okay.
There we go. Now they look like they're in the back more.
Okay. The next thing we're going to do is create the waterfall.
Okay.
Okay, and the way you do that is with the fan brush.
Alrighty.
And you're going to you're going to do the shadow first, the shadow of the water first. Remember, 3 colors. This will be the first one, black. Then we're going to have a shadow, and then we're going to have the white on top of it. So to mix that, you're going to go back into your blue-white mixture that we
Okay.
used for the sky.
There's a blue-white.
Yeah.
Now see, I have a little brown in mine, so I'm going to try to go around that.
Okay.
Just want to show the audience there. You can just kind of pick up paint from the other side of the pile. I'm going to try to find a little spot there that's clean. And just move your paint around your palette as you see fit, as you have to.
And
You don't want to
also,
always take new paint out if you don't have to.
a tiny, tiny bit, I just put too much in, but a tiny bit of dioxazine purple,
Okay.
which is a very, very strong color.
I'm going to learn from Janet right now because I saw what
Yeah,
she did, and I'm putting
it's-
even less.
Yeah, much too
Okay,
purple
so
in there.
I put just the
Okay.
tiniest bit in there.
All right.
And maybe just a little more. It's easier to add more than to try to fix it and take it away. All right. Oh, there
So
we
what you're
go.
going to do is come across
Okay.
and then pull down. When you pull down, make sure that you don't press on the bristles on the brush too much, because if you do, it will be one big blob of paint.
Okay.
When I'm doing it lightly like that, it breaks it open, and what you can do is see the black behind it.
Okay. And I'm
Okay.
doing that a couple times.
Yes. It depends on how wide you want yours, but I liked it like this. But make sure if you push really hard, it's going to be a big, giant glob of paint.
Okay.
All right, now, the waterfalls is going to hit a pond down here. So with the fan brush in this position going into the canvas like this, what you're going to do is just go back and forth. Make sure that you don't cover up all the black, because the black is a good good base for the water, and it makes it look like it's moving. So keep moving back and forth like that all the way to the bottom of the canvas.
Okay.
Okay?
I like how yours looks a little more purple, mine's a little more blue.
Well, you know that I'm not crazy about purple.
I know, and it's funny because
that was a mistake.
It looks great.
That was a mistake.
It looks great. Makes me want to go back and put some purple in mine, but I'm not going to.
Go for it. Okay. Okay, good.
Okay.
All right. The next step in the process is to put the rocks in. Now, in order to make the rocks, we're going to use the palette knife again.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is use a combination of the colors that we created for the tree trunks for color harmony. So we're going to use burnt sienna. You're going to use some blue. And you're going to use a little bit of white. You want to make it, see how brown my rocks are. If you want to make them grayer, you can. So we're going to do some of the...
I'm going to add more brown,
Yeah.
more blue. I'm going to change the color a little bit.
Yeah,
This way
I sort of like mine gray, so...
Yeah, I'm going to making mine a little bit more gray too there, I think.
Yeah. And you load the palette knife the way Lucy showed you. You just put it down, pull it through, and cut over. So you have a little bead of paint on it. And what you do when you're making these rocks is you just pat and drag, okay? But it's important that you start higher than the water, because something needs to hold that water in, okay? You have to keep it so that it doesn't look like that water's coming from nowhere. You want to have a little rock there.
Oh, okay. So now, since we're doing the rocks, we don't necessarily have to wipe off the knife.
No.
Because it's okay if all that paint comes off the back. We do want that bead
Right.
on there, but it's okay if we have that back kind of all covered.
But
So
you just
that's
pat
always good.
and drag.
Okay.
And then you let it fade down to nothing at the bottom.
And you're covering up the edge of your the water there.
Yes.
So it looks like it's coming out
Yeah.
from there. Okay.
Now the reason you don't go all the way to the bottom, one is so it falls into darkness, but the other thing I realized when the first time I painted this was that when I made the splash down there, I picked up all the color in the rocks.
Oh, okay.
So all of a sudden the white turned brown.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So I'm patting and dragging and moving
Patting
it
and
around.
dragging, patting
so
and
we should go
dragging.
about about an inch or so from the bottom.
Yeah,
would you say?
about. Yep.
This way we have some room down there. Very good.
Okay. So you do that on the other side too.
Oh, okay. All other sides. Good.
Yep.
Good. I made a big pile of paint, and I'm just kind of scraping it up, moving it back again.
Okay. And make sure that you're not going in the same direction at all times. Make
Okay.
sure that you're moving your knife in different directions so it doesn't look too symmetrical. This is supposed
Alrighty.
to be out in the middle of the woods, and these are supposed to be rocks. Okay.
All righty.
All right, so we'll just continue that until we get this all done, remembering not to bring it all the way down to the bottom, because you'll be sorry if you did. Trust me, I was. I said, now I know why he said not to bring it all the
And
way
we're going
down.
pretty close to the waterfall, though. We
Yeah,
are going
close,
close to the waterfall.
yeah, close to that. Yeah,
And like you said, to leave some
right.
black.
And you're just patting and dragging. There's no rhyme nor reason to it. Some of the rocks are going to be small, some of them are going to be big. If after you get done and you step back and look at it, there's something that you don't like about it, if you lost too much of your darks, you can always go back with black and break some of these up. You can make them smaller rocks if you want
Okay.
to. So this is not something that if you do it wrong, that all is lost.
Good.
Okay?
Very good.
All right, are you done over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember when in the certification class, when Wilson Bickford did it, his certification class, he did have a scene with a lot
Yes.
of rocks, and
Yes. Yeah.
very nice.
Okay, the next thing we're going to do is highlight the top of that waterfall. And the way you're going to do that is by taking your fan brush, and you're going to put it in pure white,
Okay.
Okay?
So I'll wipe it out? Can I just wipe it, or do I have to wash it?
It has to be clean.
So you're saying we should wipe it first, then we'll dip and wipe and get a lot of that blue
You can
off.
do that, yes. Yep.
Okay,
Because
so-
you want this pretty pure white.
All right, so I'll show while you're finishing that how we're going to clean this brush.
See, I almost did it again. I almost went all the way down to the water.
I'm pretty close. All right, so
I
the
almost
best way to clean the brush is just dip in your cleaning solution, wipe out your brush, dip wipe. We call this the dip wipe method. And see how much is coming out there. Dip wipe, dip wipe. It's nearly clean already. After it's pretty clean, then you swish it around. And this way what happens is the cleaner always stays fresh, and the sediment from the paint will drop below the screen that's inside the bucket. So it's just a quick way, and this way you don't have to keep changing your expensive cleaner. It is pretty pricey, so. All right,
Okay.
ready with my clean
So now
brush?
what you're going to do is you're going to load up your fan brush with white, okay, pure
Alrighty.
white. And instead of breaking it open like we've done in the past for things, what you're going to do is chisel it. And when I say chisel, I mean on both sides you wipe the paint so
Okay.
the brush comes to a chisel.
This nice and
Yes,
straight.
right.
Okay, not like this where we would
No, no,
open it. We're
just
going
nice
to
and
pull
straight.
the paint. All righty.
Okay? And then what you're going to do is come across the top and just bring a little highlight down. Okay, not too far. And you're just going to bring a
She
little.
did not too far after I went pretty far there.
Well, it's your painting. If you want it for, you could have it for.
Thank you, Janet.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so there you go.
All righty.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring it over a little bit to the rock. Okay,
Okay.
very good.
All right, the next thing we're going to do is create this with the same fan brush and with the white. What we're going to do is create that splash at the bottom.
Okay.
So you're going to fill this up with white again, like we did before, and what you're going to do is scrub. You're going to scrub at the bottom of the waterfall. So it's
And
going to look.
without trying to get into that brown, right?
Oh, do not get into that brown, because that is like impossible to fix.
Okay.
And this is all water, so you want to make sure that you blend it into the bottom,
Okay.
into the pond itself by going back and forth with a very light horizontal stroke
Okay.
with your fan brush so that it looks like it's part of the water. Okay?
All right. And I can bring that all the way across to the sides more?
Yes. The only thing you have to remember is that most of the foam would be right where that water is hitting the pond.
Right.
So as it goes off to the sides, you want to make sure that it softens out a little bit.
Okay. Very good.
All right. The other thing is when this water is hitting this pond, what you're going to have is some of the water lines coming out, little places where the water is more turbulent than others. So what we're going to do is fill up your fan brush once again with white,
Okay.
and then tap it open, okay?
Okay.
And then we're going to pat and drag.
Pat and drag. Just pat and drag.
Right. Right, that's the only way I can do it. All right, and you do not want big giant white lines. You want it to be very generic,
You mean
very
like
open.
like the big giant white line I just made, yeah.
Well, okay, I can't see what you're doing. So
That's
I'm
okay.
assuming it's right. So.
I like it. So far, so good here. Yep, we
Okay.
got a few more minutes to finish up. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, Janet, this is a great lesson in this short time.
Now, there's a lot more that you can do with it. I mean, what I would like to do, you see how we got the white and the blue mixed together? That's a good shadow. Then you could go back and really embellish it, yeah.
Right, right.
Okay?
I can see how I can kind of come up, and I'm using the corner of the brush
Right.
when I'm scrubbing.
Now, the one other thing you can do is tap open your brush once again,
Okay.
and then come up like this, because this is like water spraying up the waterfall.
Oh, okay.
Make sure you don't do what I just did. What I did was I made it too thick. Make sure it's just very lightly tapped in.
Very
okay?
nice. Oh, yes, very
All right.
nice. Nice detail.
Yeah.
Can always put a couple little wispy clouds up there
Yeah.
in that blue. And
All right, the other thing we have
Yeah.
to do before we finish is we do have to put some foliage on the top.
okay.
And the way we do that is by using your 1-inch brush again, the texture brush.
Okay.
And going into that green, that emerald green.
Emerald green and the white.
And the white.
Okay.
Okay, tap it open. All right, so you get a really greeny color because it's going to go against that black.
Okay.
And then you can just put some foliage
Little
down
foliage.
here.
Okay.
And that will read very nicely against that black, and that's why we left it black. That's why we didn't come down all the way to the waterfall.
Okay. Very nice.
Okay.
And then we can put a little highlights in that, in the rocks there, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Can get a little highlights in the rocks. There's quite a few things we can do. We have a couple more minutes, so we could get a little bit of highlights in those rocks up top. And
I mean, in his original picture, and in that one too, I put some green like moss in here.
you know what I like to do when I do these greenery, these bushes, is when I see I have a couple layers of paint, you can come in with the tip of the knife and you can put in some detail just by scraping some
And what is that called?
Sgraffito. I don't know how to say it.
Sgraffito.
Sgraffito. It's an Italian method where you
fancy
scrape the
name.
paint away.
Fancy name for
Yeah.
scraping the paint away.
Yeah, and you can. I'm going to push hard so you can really see. And there we go. So now looks like we have a few twigs in there, and then it can come back and make some look like they're set in the back, just like we did up here. Okay, and same thing with the palette knife. We can come and put some highlights on. So you suggest the highlights on the rocks be a brown with some white? Is that
Well, what he did was at the top, he made it a lighter color. So
Yeah.
Wilson took the color that we were using before and
already
put some
used.
more white on it
Right.
so that he could highlight it because it was his impression that the light was hitting the top of
Right.
the waterfall.
I'm gonna-
So you can use your palette knife.
So I'm spreading out some paint here,
Yep, and put some white in it.
and it looks like a little marbled, and that's great when
It
that
is, yeah.
happens. And come
and
in
then
and
all he did was he tapped along the
tap
top.
and drag and
Well, it was more of a pat
a
that
pat.
you're very careful with, okay? Because you don't want to drag out a lot of that paint that you've got in there already. It's just a highlight. Just a highlight.
I like the idea of putting a little here and there. Wow, very good. We're just about ready to wrap it up. And the other thing is, while you have that fan brush in your hand, you can come in here, you have a little bit of room, you can always put in a little more clouds if you want, a little more, not a little more clouds, a little bit of cloud in there, just to make it look even more in the back. So I just put a couple little swirls of some white in there. So I have a big glare, but just to give
Right.
you an idea that it's true, you can keep adding. But you know what? I think it came out great this amount of time.
I
That was
like
a great
it too.
job, Janet.
And the other thing people have to remember, which I always forget, is put your name on it. Sign it when you're
Yes.
done. I never sign them when I'm done, but the next time, Lucy, maybe you can show everybody how you can do that.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, definitely. That we would do with the script liner.
Yep.
All right, so I think this is a great painting in this amount of time. I'd like to thank Janet for joining me again as my guest instructor, and come see us on Facebook, and you can come to my website at www.lucysworldofpainting.com and see my schedule and what we have going on, and take a look at all the other shows. And thank you so much for tuning in again. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.